So I decided to reread The Promise by C. Wright Mills. It was like the first reading we had to do in class. And I found a lot of things very interesting about this paper, or the article. And one thing I found interesting was like there were three questions around pages 3 and 4, I think. And what they were talking about was, or there were like sub questions within the actual questions. And like one of the questions was, what varieties of men and women prevail in this society and in this period? And then, in what ways are these varieties selected, informed, liberated, and repressed, made sensitive, and blunted? I saw this question as like, I interpreted this question as, how do people differ in this society and in this period? Like what kinds of people exist and live in the society today and the period today. There are many varieties of men and women, or just people in general who think differently and have different outlooks in society. Um, One example of this is the varieties being made sensitive and being made blunt or being blunted in society. So one way people are being made sensitive, like nowadays, recently, is that society tells us to be sensitive towards certain subjects and topics. Like, an example would be the LGBTQ community. That has become a very sensitive topic. Like lately, like I don't know, within the past like 10 years, maybe not even 10 years, but so I thought that was really interesting because like back in the 50s or even the 60s, people didn't believe in like gay rights or anything like that. So I thought that was really interesting. Um, so, and then, yeah, gay rights didn't exist back then. Um, one opposite thing. So one blunted thing in society or thing that people have become numb to is violence. So violence was never like super like a sensitive subject. It's always been kind of like looked at as okay, I think, like in movies, shows and video games, especially video games, I think, in movies. Well, and shows too, but um, so the more violent the movies, TVs, and shows can get, the more like appealing they are to like, I don't know, a majority of people, like I guess like young teenage boys or like even just like, I don't know, just like I think they target those that group of people though a lot. And then yeah, so violence is one thing they become less blunted towards. And same with like sex. Like sex is just like in Hollywood, it's been like thrown around. It's like as okay and like just do whatever makes you feel good. And and like I don't know, it's just like okay for everyone to do. It's just like I think it should be something special, but other people don't think like that anymore. And my opinion doesn't really matter in this case. But um, so overall, I when I reread this, The Promise, I understood it a little bit better than the first time I read it. So I have a better grasp on sociological imagination and like it's so in my opinion or like how I see it is a sociological imagination is like um to think like alternatively than what other people think, like to pull away, like think outside the box of what society wants us to think. So like just yeah, using your imagination for other things, not just what society tells us to. So I think that overall the Promise was an interesting read, and maybe if I read it again, I'd even understand it even more. But yeah, I liked learning about the Promise. So